Welcome to this week's episode of the Belief Lab with me, Dr. Wendi Zimmer. I am so excited that you are here today because we're going to talk about why belief changes everything, and I think it's exactly the message that you need to hear today. So I want you to recognize, if you are new to this podcast, this is actually episode number 2, so welcome. You've only missed one episode, and this just isn't another podcast. The Belief Lab is part research, part coaching, part pep talk. It's exactly what all of us need to build up our belief in a way that's going to serve us best. Because I promise to you, you're going to walk away today with the practical tools that you can use immediately. So whether you're an executive making tough calls, a student trying to make it through every day, building on your career and the best version of yourself, a mom juggling everything, or someone who knows deep down you're capable of more, this is where you'll learn how to reset your belief and use it to your secret advantage. I'm so glad you're here today. I'm so glad you're investing in yourself. You deserve it. So let's get started. Most people think success is about time, talent, or resources, or a combination of the three. But the truth, it's actually belief. Without belief, time, talent, or resources don't matter. But with belief, you can make all of them work for you. And I'm going to show you how. Today, I'll share 3 truths about belief: why it drives your action, fuels your productivity, and gives you resilience when everything feels impossible. And sometimes, especially on weeks like this week, we just need it. And at the end, I'll give you one quick tool you can use in 10 seconds or less to reset your belief anytime. So your brain doesn't act on facts. We often think that's the case, that our brain just processes things based upon the facts that are being inputted. But that's not actually true. Our brain acts on what we believe is possible. If we believe, we can do it. And that's where so many of us, me included, go wrong. Because we think, I'm going to learn a new strategy. I'm going to learn a new tool. I'm going to grab a new resource. I'm going to whatever. And we stack these pieces away, which is great. But if we don't actually believe we can do it, then none of it matters. If we don't actually believe that we can have more time and manage our time better, no time management tool or strategy is going to work. If we don't actually believe that we can take something that we've learned and implement it, then what's the point? We're just wasting our time. It's just mindless scrolling, right? So I want to give you an example from my own life. When I decided to write a book, so if you don't know, I wrote a book. It's called The Force Continuum. You can get it on Amazon. But when I decided to write a book, the writing a book part was easy for me. I teach communication. But when someone told me I had to pitch my book, I was like, I'm sorry, that's not what I signed up for. I'm not a marketing person. That's not what I do. You may have felt that way before in your life, where you were like, I can do this part of it, but the other side of it, that's where it gets me hung up. That's where I pause. Because I don't want to put myself out there that way. I can put myself out there this way. Like I could put myself out there writing my book. But pitching my book, I didn't want to put myself out there in that way. But what I quickly realized is that if I didn't take action, what was the point? If nobody knew I wrote a book, how would it help anyone else? And as I slowly launched my book, I did as little as possible to still say, I'm pitching my book. I'm marketing my book. But in all actuality, I was doing just enough to check a box, not really taking action. But when I started taking action, that's when everything changed. It changed for me because that self-doubt was a turning point. When I hold back, when I don't put the best version of myself out there, when I didn't pitch my book, when you don't pitch your book, whatever your book is, whenever you don't take action, you're holding yourself back. And you've got to reach that turning point where you take a little step, you take one action, and it caused the ripple effect. You've all had those scenarios in your life before. I know I have. And pitching my book was just one example. But you have to think about, when is a time in your life where you doubted yourself and something shifted? Maybe you did it anyway. You took the action anyway because you knew that something inside you needed more, deserved more. The people around you needed more, deserved more. And that turning point was the start of something greater that would never have happened had you not pitched your book or whatever it is in this scenario. So you've got to stack that evidence, stack that proof. Tell yourself, you know what? I've done this before. I've taken action before. And it wasn't scary as I thought it was going to be. And it wasn't as difficult or challenging as I thought it was going to be. Because the same thing's going to happen the next time around. So Albert Bandura is known for his self-efficacy theory. And people with higher self-belief, higher belief in themselves, attempt harder tasks, persist longer, and achieve more. That's what we're talking about. This is not just stuff that's out there that sounds good and pretty. This is research-based. Self-efficacy predicts performance more strongly than skill or knowledge. I'm going to say that again. Self-efficacy predicts performance more strongly than skill or knowledge. Self-efficacy is your belief. That's what we're working on. So belief is your activation energy. Okay? It's your activation energy. It gets you started taking action. Without it, even the best plan stays on paper. Without action, it's just dreams. I tell my students all the time that a dream is fantastic, but the difference between a dream and a goal is a dream stays in your head. A goal gets written down on paper. You want to take your dreams into goals, but you can't just stop with writing your goals down on paper. That's a great first step, but you've got to then take action. And action is not proof you're confident. It's the process that builds your confidence. Again, you're stacking that proof. Neuropsychology shows action reinforces belief, and belief reinforces further action. It's this positive feedback loop. It's how our brains work. Our brains don't work on fact. Remember, that's how we started this episode today. Our brain doesn't act on fact. It acts on what you believe is possible. So you believe it's possible, you take a small action. That action reinforces belief, and that belief reinforces further action. If you're watching me on YouTube, I'm literally making a circle with my finger because it is a constant loop and it builds on itself. So if you believe enough to start, momentum will carry you further than confidence alone ever could. You just have to get started today. So that's our first point. Belief drives action. Our second point is belief shapes productivity. Productivity isn't about your calendar. It's not about your time management. It's about what you believe your time is worth. Because I can put all kinds of stuff on my calendar. I do. You may as well. Have you looked at your calendar lately? How much of a calendar planner are you? I would show you my calendar one day. Maybe I'll share it. Some people it scares to death. Some people love it. It's color-coded. I put personal, professional, anything on my calendar. Because if it's on my calendar, then I have made time for it. And then I don't have the guilt around taking an extra lunch or going out to dinner with friends or all of those pieces. But that's a different conversation for a different episode. But you've got to think more about just the boxes you put on your calendar and what you believe your time is actually worth. So I have a great Post-it note on my office at work, in my office on my computer monitor. And it says, I don't do overwhelmed. And it's something that I got from Marie Forleo. If you're a Marie Forleo person, she is fantastic. She has a book called Everything is Figure-Outable, and it's one of my favorites. But it's wonderful when I actually wrote that down. And instead of just saying, I don't do overwhelmed, I actually believe it. Because I had to go from a place of always running in circles and always checking off boxes on my calendar and always trying to be busy to achieve whatever it is that I wanted. But what I found is I was constantly overwhelmed. Have you ever noticed we have like overwhelmed and underwhelmed, but we can never just be whelmed? Not sure exactly why that is. I'm working toward whelmed, that's what I'm working toward. But so if you think about it, It can't just be something that you say. I literally told myself, I'm not going to do overwhelmed anymore. Now, is it 100% sure? No. Do I have days where I'm like, this is too much? I need a minute. Absolutely. And you probably do as well. We're human. It's how it works. But if we reshape our thinking and realize that belief shapes productivity, not busyness. Busyness doesn't shape productivity. Belief shapes productivity. Then I look at overwhelm different. And I don't do overwhelmed. I lead with clarity. I lead with clarity. Because instead of constantly chasing after what I want and running this rat race and never feeling caught up and never feeling ahead, I slow down and I think about, how is my lack of belief getting in the way? And what can I do to believe in myself more right now so that I don't just put one more thing on my calendar? I'm not trying to prove myself to others. I don't have anything else to prove. I only have to prove myself to me. So if you look at the research behind this, Gallup says employees who believe their work has purpose are 5 times more engaged and productive. 5 times more engaged and productive. That's the key. That's the key. Because you're actually doing the work. Being in a physical space, we've all been there. You all probably work with people, I do as well, that are in their office 8 to 5 every day, but they don't really get a whole lot done. You can get a significant amount more done if you're engaged and you're productive than if you're just sitting there checking off boxes on your to-do list or going from meeting to meeting to meeting to meeting to meeting without actually taking any action. There was research that was presented in 2022 by McKinsey, and that research talks about purpose-driven workers report 4 times higher well-being and 2 times higher output. So it's not about more time. It's not about being overwhelmed. It's about increasing your self-belief, which then has an automatic effect of, like the research shows, 5 times more engagement and productivity, 4 times higher well-being, and 2 times higher output. Productivity isn't about squeezing more tasks into your day. It's about choosing tasks that align with your belief in what really matters, where you should be spending your time. Belief sets your filter. If you believe your voice matters, you say no to busy work and yes to bold work. Yes to the action that's actually going to get you what you want. Because high performers aren't the busiest. They're the most belief aligned. So remember, productivity is not about doing more. It's about believing that what you're doing is worth it. And then when you put it on your calendar, actually aligns. So that's your second point. First point, belief drives action. Second point, belief shapes productivity. And our third point for today's episode is belief fuels resilience. Resilience doesn't come from being strong. It comes from believing that you'll rise again because you have before. There was a time in my life, honestly, there's been so many times in my life where it would have been easy just to stay down. It would have been easy to just be like, you know what? It's too hard and this hurts and it's a whole lot easier just to stay in my bed under the covers, especially before I had my daughter, because nobody was relying on me. And in many ways, that's human. You may be there now, and that's okay. And that's okay. But we've got to realize that resilience doesn't come from how strong can I be? How can I fight through this? How can I pretend like I'm okay? How can I fake it until I make it? How can I not act like this bothers me? That's not resilience. That's, in some ways, toxic positivity, which is incredibly unhealthy. But what we've got to do instead is emphasize that it's our choice to realize that I may be in a place right now that is not where I want to be, but it's not going to last long, and I will come out the other end stronger. The American Psychological Association tells us that optimistic belief in the future, whether that's tomorrow, a year from now, 10 years from now, is the number one predictor of resilience. Number one, optimistic belief in the future. What is your future going to look like? That your future is going to be better today. It's going to be better tomorrow than it is today. There's also research out there that talks about optimistic thinkers bounce back faster and live longer because pessimistic thinkers stay stuck. Stay stuck. So resilience isn't a personality trait. It's a choice you make in the moment you fall. Not saying again that you have to just get straight back up and get going. But you realize that the fall, the failure is temporary. And it's what you do to get yourself out of it that's going to make a difference in your future. Belief reframes setbacks. Instead of saying, I failed, it becomes, I'm learning. Because resilient people aren't stronger. They're just more practiced in choosing belief when it feels irrational. When you think, why would I believe in myself right now? I'm a failure. Everything's going wrong. I've tried this and I've tried this and I've tried this and I've tried this and they've all been unsuccessful. But resilient people realize that, you know what? I wouldn't be here today if it wasn't for the failures and falls in my past. And I survived every single one of those. I will survive this one as well. Resilience is not bouncing back. It's believing forward. So those are our 3 points. Number 1, belief drives action. Number 2, belief shapes productivity. Number 3, belief fuels resilience. So I want to give you a strategy to leave today, and it's called the 10-second belief reset. And what you do is anytime in your life that you feel that you do not have the self-belief that you want, first thing you do is pause. Just pause in the moment wherever you are. Second thing you do is take a deep breath. Take more than one if you need to. You can do the belief block if you've ever heard about that, where you breathe in for 4 seconds, hold it for 4 seconds, breathe out for 4 seconds, hold it for 4 seconds. Do that a couple times. And then say out loud some sort of mantra. Like, I believe I can. I believe I will. I believe I deserve this. I believe I'm good enough. Something out loud, not in your head, even if you have to whisper it. Something out loud that's going to help boost your belief. And then the fourth thing you do in that 10-second belief reset is take one small action forward. Remember I said small, not huge. You don't have to change the world today. Take one small action forward, because then you're telling yourself, you know what? I can do this. So you pause, you take a deep breath, you say out loud something like, I believe I can, I believe I will, and then you take one small action forward. In those 10 seconds, you can help reset your belief and help stacking that proof. So I hope you've enjoyed today's episode. I cannot thank you enough for joining me. I get so much joy from our time together. And I hope if you've not already, please subscribe so you never miss an episode, and share this episode with one person who needs that belief reset today. We are not alone. We are all in this together. And invite them into the movement, because together we're building a lab where belief is tested, proven, and unleashed. This is just the beginning. Welcome to the Belief Lab. I believe in you, and you belong here. See you on our next episode. Have a great day.